The marble railing felt cold beneath my fingertips. I was standing in a courtroom, a spectator in a drama I was forced to star in. My mother was on the stand, eyes focused not on the judge, but directly on me. A venomous, theatrical pity contorted her face, the same look she'd perfected when telling all her friends that my father had left her for a younger woman. She had been called as a character witness for my ex-fiancé in a civil suit, a small, ugly battle over a property deed. I watched her take a breath, preparing to deliver the final, calculated blow. I already knew the script. She'd always preferred the polished, successful fiancé to her own difficult child. I simply don't believe she's capable of managing such an asset, Your Honor. Her voice, usually a brittle chirp, was now thick with feigned concern. She can barely hold a job. She's emotional, unreliable, and frankly, a bit of a flight risk. The room tilted, not from shock, from a familiar, deep-seated ache of betrayal that was so old it had calcified into control. Barely hold a job. I ran the phrase through the sterile, tactical part of my mind. It was a lie built on decades of small, sharp criticisms, designed to keep me small, to keep me compliant. I had faced bigger lies before. This property dispute, this public humiliation, was just the final, necessary trigger. The fiancé, Daniel, shifted in his seat, a small, self-satisfied smirk playing on his lips. He'd orchestrated this whole scene, knowing my mother would happily be his weapon. He knew the one thing that still had the power to pierce my cold composure was the judgment of the woman who raised me. He thought he'd broken me years ago when I found the receipts, the separate bank account, the key card to the hidden apartment. Daniel had been a meticulous liar, but he was also arrogant. The discovery hadn't been an emotional explosion. It had been an autopsy. I hadn't screamed or thrown things. I had simply stopped feeling. I spent 3 weeks collecting data, phone records, and email archives. I traced the money, the timeline, the other life he was building with her. A woman I had always known, a woman who always looked at him with too much familiarity. The betrayal wasn't just the sex, it was the quiet, 6-month construction of a future that excluded me, built on my trust and my investment. When I finally printed the last bank statement, showing the initial deposit into a joint account with her name on it, I didn't confront him. I didn't need to. I laminated the document. I left it on his pillow, turned up at the corners, beneath the diamond ring he'd given me. I watched him find it through the reflection of the hallway mirror. His face went from confusion to a sickening, gut-punched white. He tried to speak. I just shook my head, my eyes completely empty. I'd already left him. Emotionally, I'd been gone for weeks. Now, years later, here we were. A new betrayal, same cast. My mother's voice droned on. I took a slow breath, centering the familiar, strategic rage. The Chief Justice, a man whose reputation for dry, uncompromising integrity preceded him, cleared his throat, halting my mother mid-sentence. He leaned forward, adjusting his reading glasses, a single heavy file open before him. The courtroom was silent. Mrs. Hayes, the Chief Justice's voice was a low, resonant wave, completely devoid of emotion. I must interrupt you. Are you aware that your daughter, the defendant, has been a sitting associate judge of the 11th Circuit Court for the past 6 years? My mother's face went utterly, devastatingly white. Every drop of theatrical pity drained away, replaced by the naked, sickening horror of having her calculated lie not only exposed, but utterly obliterated by an unimpeachable truth. Daniel's smirk dissolved. He tried to mouth something to my mother, a frantic, silent order to retract, but she was frozen. I felt a quiet, profound click inside my chest. Not a burst of victory, but the secure closing of a heavy steel door. This wasn't about the property. It was about severing the last manipulative tie that had bound me to their small-minded narrative. The betrayal was complete, and so was my detachment. I didn't look at Daniel, I didn't look at my mother. They were irrelevant, ghosts of a past I was finally, truly walking out of. I was the only one in the room who didn't flinch. I just stood there, the judge of my own fate, and watched them both break under the weight of one inconvenient truth. The silence was the most satisfying sound I had ever heard.